Hi, my name is Hannah.
And my name is Josh.
We are presenting information on the Waynesville, North Carolina earthquake. Before the earthquake, Waynesville, North Carolina was a small, quaint town. The picture shows downtown Waynesville in 1916. The slides that follow provide a glimpse of what life was like in Waynesville, North Carolina during this period.
The people in Waynesville liked to shop downtown for locally produced luxuries. These luxuries included fur coats, which were popular in these days, contrary to the opinions of many Americans today.
No matter how much the locals liked their fine goods, the U.S. was experiencing the pain of World War I even though it had not yet entered. It was heard on every radio station and written about in most major newspapers. Here, a middle-aged woman is seen putting a bouquet of flowers on a grave site dedicated to those who have died or who were actively participating in the war.
The Richter scale measures the intensity of an earthquake in order to compare earthquakes to one another. The Waynesville earthquake was a result of movement of the Eastern Tennessee seismic zone, where earthquakes have been recorded between Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina. Another possibility was that it was a random crust movement due to the fact that all the faults that lie in North Carolina are inactive. North Carolina is on a passive, non-active continental fault.
On the Richter scale, the Waynesville earthquake measured between a 5.2 and a 5.5, depending on which website was used as a resource. It was the largest earthquake to ever be recorded in North Carolina.
There was no reported loss of life. As compared to other earthquakes, it was not very large. The earthquake was felt over 200,000 square miles, including the Carolinas, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. Chimneys and smokestacks were dislodged or had toppled as a result of the earthquake. It is depicted in the lower right-hand image.
There is no estimate of damage money-wise, however the towns listed earlier received a number on the modified Mercalli scale.
The towns received a score of 7. People were said to have rushed out into the streets. Most people had never experienced an earthquake, at least not one of this magnitude. It caused great panic, but when the event is looked at today, it's quite insignificant compared to other earthquakes.
Local structures may have been damaged, but environmentally there were no serious or sustained damage due to this earthquake. While damage regionally was non-existent, as only closer cities to the epicenter sustained damage, it did not cause much news and talk to as people were in somewhat of a panic that soon faded.
Wildlife may have been scared like people, but the earthquake had no real effect. The earthquake affected the lithosphere, as an earthquake is directly related to the land.
The only known lesson possibly learned by these earthquakes was that every once in a while earthquakes do happen in North Carolina. However, the fact that the largest earthquake in North Carolina history killed or injured no one shows us that it is not something we need to worry about extensively. We'll learn as a group that compared to places like California and China have much more powerful earthquakes, and compared to them, North Carolina is kind of boring. However, we do not have to deal with mass loss of life from earthquakes, although we may have to watch out for hurricanes. Damage occurred in the towns of Skyland, Waynesville, Tryon, and Forest City. Plaster in some homes were cracked, poorly built structures or weak structures had considerable damage, and window panes were also cracked.